This is Island City Beat, conversations from Alameda, California that strengthen our beloved community.
1, 2, 3, we're on the island beach. There are stories on every street, from the west side to the east side, all around town, up and down. It's Alameda, and we need you to all come around. Hello, Alameda. This is Jeff Gould, one of the founding members of Island City Beat. I'm here with Thushan Amarasiriwardena. Get that right?
Yeah, you got that right.
And we're having a conversation as we walk the streets of Alameda. So Thushan, can you talk about yourself?
So yeah, I'm Thushan. I've been living here since 2017. Fell in love with Alameda on the 4th of July. That was like my first real experience of it. We came for running the race before the parade, and by the time I hit Grand, I was like, holy moly, this is my place. Not only because of the beautiful homes, but it felt like a New England town, which is where I grew up, in the sense of like half of Alameda was in the parade and the other half was watching it, and it was just like this Lake Wobegon kind of moment of like, oh, this is a real community.
Can you elaborate a little more on your startup?
Yeah. We used to make apps for kids when the iPad came out. They weren't games. Our company was called Launchpad Toys. And the thing about toys is they're open-ended. They're vessels for kids to tell their own stories. And that was the sort of the angle that we were going after. Toontastic, our main app, was essentially motion capture for kids. They could move their characters on screen. It recorded their voice and actions and made it essentially the easiest animation tool ever. And I think 5 million cartoons were made. It was just super cool to do. Yeah.
So you're using your family as the guinea pigs.
Well, that was before I had kids. Actually, I haven't let my kids play with it yet. Yeah.
I saw you at the No Kings demonstration.
Yes.
Recently, and I was there because I thought I needed to be.
Mm-hmm. I think for a huge degree it was for my kids to see that how this system works. I don't like, there wasn't any like overt to like framing for my kids. I just wanted them to see the understanding of people coming out fighting for something they believe in. That was actually my primary goal. Okay. But at a personal level, yeah, I was there. But my belief is that like this country is clearly going in a direction antithetical to what it was founded on. That we're a country for the people, by the people, not by any one person, and that our decision making is made together, not alone by one. And unfortunately, very much feels like we are heading in the wrong direction.
I would agree with that. And I think all 3,000 people that were there would agree with that.
Yeah.
My understanding is that a lot of your thought is based on the concept of abundance.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Right. I would say that book Abundance that Ezra Klein and Derek Thompson recently released resonated pretty strongly with me, and I think a lot of my friends here in Alameda actually, in the sense of how are we living in what the strongest nation humanity's ever seen, in one of the strongest cities or regions that our humanity's ever seen, and yet we have a litany of problems. You know, like when yesterday I was in Oakland, and I think from just a humanistic perspective, seeing the gap of the life that people like us are able to live and people just a couple hundred yards away are living is just morally not okay. And I think that stems from some root issues of us not being able to make the things we need at the scale we need them and at the speed we need them. And that I think government is a huge way of making that happen, and that I would love to see it be more effective.
So it's kind of rooted in follow the money, kind of.
I would maybe it's more like maybe the lens I would put is what are the impediments that we have to do the things that I think everyone agrees we should have, which is like everyone should be able to find a place to live in the places that they want to live. Right. That they should be able to have the food on the table and to be able to work and have that dignity and maybe even more like have the luxuries of great parks and great and schools are not a luxury, but great schools. And I think maybe what I saw in my time in federal government was like we've made it very hard to go do those things because a lot of sliced, well-meaning ideas, when you pile them together, really leads to inability to take action.
Too many times, the idea of follow the money means, I get mine and, I'm happy.
Right.
Rather than, everybody gets a share of the pie.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Okay, that's a good way of thinking about abundance.
Or maybe one other lens I would say is like, I think a lot of our problems come from fighting over the little. And if we can make more of it, then those fights don't happen. I mean, there's some natural constraints, land and things like that, but I think where we're about to walk, where we're walking right now. These are new houses built in the past, I think, 8 years. Mm-hmm. We're on Mulberry Street right now, and
there's the old on one side and the new on the other.
But I know a lot of people who live in these, and this used to be an old warehouse, from what I could tell on Google Street View. It is now, a couple hundred people, families, young kids that are like thriving in Alameda, and it took will to make that happen. This was a contentious project. The one across the street that we're about to get to, Clement Street, again, contentious project.
It's very dense housing.
Yeah, but when you meet the people who, like, again, my kids have a lot of friends that now live in these places. Like, when you meet them, it's like, how can we not have them here in Alameda? Is my view. Yeah.
This street, Clement, that we're on now, has a huge bike lane.
Yep.
And the idea that the city has is to get out of your car and get on your e-bike or your regular bike, and that's better for the environment. But then there's the access to the island itself, and what are the improvements being done there? There's kind of an incomplete plan in a way. How do you think that should be approached? Transportation issues around more density.
Right. I think density allows a couple things. One, density allows the ability to invest in public transportation, for example. That is the only way it works. And so when we add more people, now we are able to ensure that our public transit is not only funded but used to a degree that everyone wants to keep funding it. So I think that's one lens. I think here's another good example is like these projects aren't just adding people to our town, they're adding value to our town. The one that we're walking right next to, they built a $30 million seawall and parks here that are reflecting the city's need to adapt to climate change, for example. All these houses to our left, for example, aren't paying for that seawall. So like that's an added benefit. But they also paid for this bike lane to happen. And I think when you have stuff like this, you start inviting people to go try alternate modes of transportation. I am not comfortable. I would never be comfortable with my kids riding this street without this bike lane, but now we do. I mean, that's me out of my car. And you go to the point, I think you have another good example. That new ferry terminal, again, paid by all that development. That's something that all Alamedans get to use. And while it may not mean another car bridge, I don't think that's ever going to happen because we've tried that. Oakland doesn't want it either. So we're going to have to move to alternative ways. And I think we are addressing it through things like building ferry terminals and things like that. Even though more people are coming to the island, we're actually seeing less car usage in the past years. And now that a large part of it probably is because work from home, but it's a reality that we can say is actually happening.
Okay. What's your feelings about the CARP? Is it enough? Is it adequate to address the problem we're facing?
I think it's a compass, and I don't think it's enough in the sense of I think we are at a grave danger as a planet towards where we're heading in things, and in the sense that I think we are pushed towards more concrete methods of measuring our progress and setting goals. I think that's great. To note, most of our problems at this point tend to be from vehicle emissions in Alameda because of how we power our town. I think that's been a really good change with our clean energy. And of course we could get that better. But I think what I would love to see is probably like more myopic focus on this is our problem. Let's attack that quite hard on how do we get our vehicle emissions down.
Right. And in the case of